Hello everybody, this is me again, Havin. We are again playing the Kerbal space program. I am told now that you want to make the dock, but you do not know how to make the dock maybe. There are lots of tutorials for make the dock, but I think you will find this one truly special. Because it is me, Havin, and I'm a very friendly guy who teach lots of things. And I guess I have an accent? Alright, so we are going to do this real simple like, we're just going to use stock rocket parts that are borrowed from game file themselves. So we will use this space station core. Little disclaimer, I do not like this space station core at all. I think it is horrible. But it is pre-made and it has multiple docking ports, which is important for docking practice and for showing a few things about docking system. So all we have to do is just strap on a rocket to the bottom of it and get it into space, where we can make docking with it. Just draw main cell engine on giant tank. We're not going to do any fancy asparagus craft for this, we're just going to use solid rocket booster. Solid rocket booster is very affordable, it is very cool looking, does not want to attach sometime. But that is no big deal, okay? We forgive. We never forget, but we forgive. So we're going to use as many of them on there as we possibly can. We're also going to use some space tape to glue everything together. There's no reason not to use these struts, because they have no mass, they have no drag, they're just perfect. And go ahead and we'll launch it into space super quick. Alright, turn our ACs on, fire the engine. It's very loud, I understand, so I scroll backwards. A lot of people, they say bad things about the SRBs. They say that they are not necessary, they are horrible. But I think once final game comes out, they're going to be a little bit more important, because even though they are not necessarily efficient, you know, you cannot burn and then not burn and then burn, you have to just keep burn. They are very powerful, and more importantly, they are very cheap, okay? If you look at the price for them, the price for one small fuel tank for a regular liquid rocket is same price as giant SRB. So we will be using them a lot more, I think, in future missions. I like to bust them out whenever I can. Okay, they're not just bad Kerbal stereotype. Okay. So SRBs burn out, we switch to liquid main cell engine. At the same time, go ahead and we'll turn to 90 degrees. We are going to do 90-degree parking orbit into Kerbal atmosphere. Start looking at our apps. Want to have all this information up. Information is power, okay? If you've not gone to elementary school and been taught that, you should probably go right now. You're going to be so excited when you make the dock. First time I make the dock, incredible feeling. Took me an hour and a half. I think I said that before. Take an hour and a half to make one dock. Okay, that is ratio of one dock to 90 minutes, 1 to 90. Very inefficient process, but next one, once I figure it out, took me like no time at all. Okay, because there's actually a trick to it. You know, it is not just floating around in space aimlessly trying to bump noses. There's actual trick to docking that we will teach you, so that you'll be able to dock. Alright, we're getting pretty fast now. We're also running out of fuel now. Alright, so let's just stop about there. We'll circularize our orbit and then we'll decide how high we're going to make this thing. Because this will be alright, it is not going to go anywhere. Once we get it where it is going. I probably should have put separatrons on this thing to deorbit it to make for clean space act, but you know, you live, you forget. We'll edit the persistence file, maybe get it out later on, but that is not important thing. That is not most important thing anyway. Most important thing is to teach you to make the docking. And that is what we're here for. That is what this entire video made for you, to teach the docking. Isn't that crazy? Did you think when you got up this morning that somebody was going to make docking video just for you? For no one else, just for you. Alright, so 86,000 meters high almost. We got pretty powerful engines, so we're going to get real close to apoapsis before we circularize. Probably 15 seconds maybe. Alright, so we point. Oh, can't really turn without the gyro on. So point right at it, we burn. Not that hard, we're going to overheat our engine. So hopefully we'll have enough to get nice stable orbit. I think a nice 90,000 meter orbit will be precisely what we're looking for. Get a little bit closer to apoapsis. And we rinse and we repeat, because we want to make a nice round orbit so it is easy to find this machine and dock with it. But we also don't want to waste all our fuel before we get to where we're trying to go. So it's a very painstaking process. To ensure not to raise apoapsis too high, you want to burn right at it or behind it. Okay. So looks like we've got to 90 and 97. So we burn a little bit too hardy. That's okay. We'll pull our orbit down just a little bit so that we are at about 90 and about 90. We have just a little bit of fuel, so should have just enough to do what we want to do. But if we fail, we will be lost in space forever. I'm just kidding, we will not be lost in space forever, we'll find our way home. So, we burn ever so slow. Just try to drag down orbit. So we're at 90,600 and 89,600. So we are 1,000 meter apart on each end. It is very good orbit. You can see how the apsises are fluttering. That means you are very close together. That means you did a good job. So we hit the escape button. We go to Space Center, and then we are going to bring up our craft to make docking with. So you know what? Let's save this for future reference. It's called Mark II because I have another one, Mark I, that I built for other thing. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to use this super heavy lander. Except we have to make slight modification to it. We're going to add aces because you're going to want aces. I want aces because I'm not very good at fly without it, which means you're probably going to want it. It is essential, I think, for docking. This is very nice, very small craft. It's got linear RCS instead of RCS block, which is not how I build RCS craft, but we want to have pre-built things, so you don't have to worry about rocket science. You just rocket build. You just worry about docking science. So we built the exact same launcher, except I forgot to put decoupler. Alright, literally exact same launcher, and it's pretty handy if you're being lazy and don't feel like make asparagus. So okay, this is pretty nice. Let's get some space tape and glue everything together. Okay, and we launch it. Okay, this rocket's a bit heavier than the space station core because it has liquid fuel. This is super heavy lander is designed to land on Moon maybe or Minmus or other planet. Okay, so it is not really designed for fly around in atmosphere or just outside of atmosphere and make docking. Well, it does have docking clamp on it, probably meant to be carried around in tug or mothership. I like the design of the engines because they are slanted instead of straight up. I only zoom way out so you can hear me talk above SRBs, if you are wondering. so we get into orbit the same way with this craft. We do not get as high, you see, we're only at 7,800 meters, but we're still going pretty fast. So not too terribly worried. We're going to have to use this landing engine to make the orbit. But that is no big deal because we're not going to be landing anywhere, so that fuel is all free for us to use. You'll also notice I launch pretty much right away after I launch other craft, which is generally a bad idea because we're going to now be behind the craft very much. It doesn't seem like much, you think you launch 10 minutes later, you'll be 10 minutes behind. But as you see, it is quite a ways ahead of us. And I did this intentionally because I wanted to show you how to catch up to it. Other people, what they would do is they would hit time warp until space station core was about here, and then you can launch up and you're pretty much right on top of it when you get there. Especially a rocket like this, because it is very slow to launch, and that is because this mainsail engine is not going to take it into orbit. It's only going to take it out of atmosphere. Then we will have to use landing engine to make orbit, and they are very small and not very powerful. So it will take a moment to get into a stable orbit before we can even think about docking with other craft. So because we have not as much firepower, we're going to wait until it gets 54,000, and then we're going to dip right to the horizon. Because we want this mainsail to use as much as possible to get momentum forward. And then we can use landing engine to extend orbit from there. Also, we want to keep our orbit lower because we go faster at lower altitude. Okay, so we detach that engine, we fire up other engines and throttle all the way up. Now, because engines are not as powerful, we are not waiting so long to get to apoapsis to burn our engine. We need to just basically keep burning as long as we can to make sure we build up enough speed not to fall back into atmosphere. And we'll use a lot of fuel. We'll use most of this fuel just getting into stable orbit. Alright, so 75,000 meters, good enough for right now. And we got a good start of an orbit, we're going pretty fast. So we will get closer to this apoapsis. We'll run until we get above 70,000 meters. And we hear the nice song that tells us we are above 70,000 meters. And we will burn into the horizon at about 30 seconds from apoapsis because the engine is not as powerful. Should hit stable orbit at about 2,400 meters per second at this altitude, which is probably higher to 25, 26. But we've got plenty of fuel. These engines are pretty fuel efficient, so we are not wasting fuel, we are using it. Okay, big difference between waste fuel and use fuel. Waste fuel is burning nuclear engine in atmosphere. Use fuel is burning nuclear engine out of atmosphere, okay? Very simple real-life parallel. So we repeat process. We time warp again so we get a little bit closer to apoapsis. We'll get a little bit closer to it now because we are closer to our orbit. Zoom down to the horizon. And we burn our engines full. Okay, and we have an orbit. Not stable yet. Okay, but we are at 70,000 on one end, 80,000 on the other. So that one is 90,000, so we are still below. We are still below this orbit. If you look now, you see the velocity is 2260.9 meters per second on the space station core. And for us it is 2372.9. Alright, we're going much faster. That means 2260, 2272. Okay, I guess we're not going very much faster. But that's because we just get into orbit. So on the other end of it we will end up very low. We might drag it down a little bit more. Okay, but first step toward making dock is to locate your target. It looks like we're a little bit above them somehow, but that's okay, we'll fix that. And that isn't really that bad. So, we're going to click on it. Oh, I double click instead of regular click. So we double click back on our craft to get focus back on it. But we're going to click on it. So sometimes it can be hard to hammer down clicking on the target, especially in newest release. But just keep trying till you get space station core and then set as target. Okay? And then this gives you all kinds of wonderful information. It tells you where your intercept with, or your closest intercept with the target is going to be when you cross their orbit path. So we will intersect with their orbit. First one will be right there, and we will be 796.0 kilometers apart, but it will not be anywhere nearby, it will be right there. Okay, so as we speed up time and we get closer to that mark, we're going to pass it, and you're going to see something cool happen with this one over here. It is going to jump backwards. This will stay same, this will jump backwards. Okay, and we're now a little bit closer, so next time we pass that point, we'll only be 679 kilometers apart. Okay, that is a 100-kilometer difference almost. So we're just going to spin in circles for a little while and slowly catch up to this craft. If we had something important to do back home, maybe we would lower our orbit on the high side from this 80 to maybe 70. And then we would get there faster, but we don't need to get there faster right now. We've got all day. So, you know, go grab your stuffed animals, lay them out on the bed to watch the TV with you. As we watch, and we will learn together how to make the dock. Okay, this is kind of like NASCAR race. Right now that guy is winning, but we are inside the track, okay? So we are going faster. Now if we were on outside the track, we'd go slower, and that is exactly where we would go if we were in front of this space station core. We would get wider orbit around it, maybe to, you know, 100 on that side, 100 on that side, and we would let it catch up to us, but we're other way around. Okay, so next time we will be at 427. If you have trouble highlighting over this number, you can either slow down time warp so it's not moving so fast, or you can double click on Kerbal, and then you'll be focused on something stationary while your ships move around. Isn't that classy? Alright, now, so looks like we're getting pretty close. Wish we could time accelerate just a little bit faster so you don't have to sit here and talk with me, make idle awkward small talk about weather and NASCAR sports. But we want to wait until this gets as close as possible. So let's go ahead and take a little temperature reading of just how fast closer together we're getting. So right now it is about 400. We're around for purpose of... oh no, it's about 337. That is not the number I thought it was. Okay, about 337 down to 220. So it is dropping down about 130 meters every time we go around. So we want to keep that in mind, because we'll have to adjust our orbit once this gets within 130, which it looks like it will on next round. Okay, actually this orbit might figure itself out pretty well. Okay, I keep trying to hit the time accelerator because I'm used to going to moon, and you can accelerate crazy fast when going to moon. Orbital operations, bit slow, bit sluggish, just like real life. Okay, so you see right there, they're very close together now. And we can probably... I'm very high hopes for this intercept. Okay, we're crossing threshold right now, and 4, 3, 2, 1... There we go, okay. So right now we have intercepted 25 kilometers. Okay, this is very close intercept. Not close enough for our purposes, but close enough that now we're going to start trying to change our orbit. And I always like to try to change it right at periapsis. Okay, I'm going to cough for a minute. I'm going to mute the microphone. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully I am back, and I didn't realize now that the sound did not come back on when I am looking at video at end. I didn't realize I have to re-record the whole thing. Because what will probably happen is I will try to do voiceover for the last half on the video edit program, and it won't sound the same, because for some reason that program makes everything so quiet. So what will happen is I will record, I will make it louder, and it will sound really weird. I don't know why I'm telling you all this. You came here to make the dock, not to hear me complain about video edit software. Okay, so if you didn't see what I did, I'm going to go ahead and kill that. I'm going to click right on periapsis, and I'm going to add maneuver. And it does not matter if you do apoapsis, periapsis. I do periapsis because that is what we are heading for. That is the first thing we are going to hit next. So, we'll see what we can do with it. Now, if it were apoapsis, it would be the same. You don't even need to do apoapsis, periapsis. That is just how I like to do it, because I think you change orbit more from there. Or it is more obvious how you change. So we look at our intersect, and we are still 30 meters behind it. So what we do is we are actually going to lower our orbit. And okay, once we lower it, the intersect disappears, so not a good idea. We'll bring it back up. And we're just going to watch how accelerate changes. It looks like it's making it farther apart on this intercept. But what about this one at 64.9? It's making that further away as well. So, what we're going to do is we're just going to forget about it. And we're going to let things go. But we'll try apoapsis. Okay, this should make things a little bit different. We'll just try accelerate and see. And that makes it closer together. Okay, so what you're seeing now, and if you don't know much about maneuver nodes, the only thing we really worry about right now is this prograde and retrograde, and that is going to make your orbit higher or lower. Prograde makes it higher, retrograde make lower. And honestly, you don't really need to know which one you're going into before you do it. Just guess and check. So pull that out and look at this now. And separation is 20.4 kilometers. So pull it a little bit more. And it is 20.2 kilometers. So let's just keep pulling it, see what happens. 19.6 kilometers. 18.9. Okay, 28.4. So that is getting further apart now. So we want to see if we can get close to it. Okay, I think... Oh, I pulled the wrong thing. So we start over. Now if you pull the normal, anti-normal, or the... if you pull any of these pink and purple things, I just quit and start over again, because those are for very different things. Those are good for planetary transfers. We'll maybe go over that in a later tutorial, if there's time and money. So, we're just going to bring that down as far as we can. 20.2, oh, 28, oh, is that 28 now? 20.1. Okay, it looks like we're not going to get a very good orbit together. So, we're just going to let's get rid of that one. Okay, this is a very good thing that happened, because this is probably what happened to you. You watch other tutorial, I'm going to sit up a bit straighter now. You watch other tutorial, and they show you this perfect way to do it, and then you get there yourself and you get this problem. So we're going to kind of brute force it, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to slow down the points at which we intercept. And I think a lot of it is this separation gap. So you know what? How about I teach you how to correct that, okay? Just for today, we will teach how to correct that. So what we're going to do is we have to find a point where orbits intercept. And it looks like we can just... What you want to do is line up your orbit so you're looking dead on it, so you only see one blue line instead of two blue line. And then you find place where there is yellow line on top. Okay, and remember that place, because you can't really click on it through the other one. And you add maneuver, and you set it back up towards right. And you're going to take these purple buttons, okay? And you're going to push until you get to a point where they line up together. Okay, and now they look just about perfect, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. Okay, so that is our correction burn, and by that point we get there, we're going to be very far apart from the docking mech. Okay. So while we are doing that, let's try again to push and pull this. See if we can get these points closer together. 67, 55. Okay, now we're talking 40, 35. Oh, here we go, 2.7 right there. Alright, so what we did now was we changed our orbital plane with this up and down button, and then we used prograde to get ourselves a closer intersect. Okay, we're going to keep playing with it until we get as close as possible. Plus or minus, you want to be very careful when you're doing correction change. Okay, way off now. Because if you end up in an unstable orbit, you will not be very happy. Okay, so we got 1.4 kilometers. That is pretty good intercept. Right now. So we're going to double check and make sure that our apoapsis and periapsis are both above 70,000 meters, and as you see, that one dropped pretty low. Okay, so if it had gone like 3,000 meters lower, we would be a little bit worried, but we don't have to be. So we're going to go ahead and time warp until we get a little bit closer, and we watch this T-minus time. It tells us how long we have till burn. We have 21 minutes to get ready for burn. One thing you can do if you're scared to find a maneuver point, and it is highlighted in blue right there. You can find it at any time because it is always the same point. It is different relative to your position, but it's always the same point. So as you time warp, you will notice it moves, but you move with it because you are always pointed the same way. It is everything else that change. Norton Antivirus just wanted to let me know that it is gone. So, whatever. Okay, so we're 2 minutes out. Let's get a little bit closer. 30 seconds out. Okay, so for 30 seconds we can fine-tune this adjustment. We have to burn for 5 seconds, it says. So we are going to start burning when this says 2 seconds, let's say. And you can do it from any view. And we're going to burn to this as 0 meters per second. Okay, I started to burn early, I got excited, but it is okay. There is wide margin for error. So we stop when it gets to about 2 meters per second. You see it wanders off, because nothing is precise. I don't want you to translate all that delta V as soon as you cross that line, which you cannot do. So we're down to 0.1 meters per second, and that is plenty. So let's go ahead and kill this maneuver node and see what our actual separation will be at intersect. It's 1.9 kilometers there, 36 there, we do not care about. But we've got about 23 minutes till we get there. So let's go ahead and time warp. Okay, we're going to set our focus back to super heavy launcher. And watch it race around until we get to these magenta markers. Alright, we have nice intersect right here. So we have the nav ball has automatically turned into target mode, and this is now our relative velocity to the target. That means compared to that thing, we are moving this much. So we're going to watch very carefully. The distance now is 2.7 kilometer. Alright, we will reach our closest at 1.9 kilometer. So what we're going to do now is we are going to point at our prograde marker. Now this is not prograde to our orbital path. This is prograde to our relative velocity with our target. That will help us match its orbit. So we're going to wait until this gets to 1.9, which is closest point. Maybe a little bit before. And we are going to heat engines. Okay, I was not paying attention to this, I was paying attention to the craft for some reason, so I overshot it a little bit. It's no big deal. we're going to go ahead, we're going to kill off all this velocity. Don't be afraid to burn very slowly. Okay, 0.1 milliseconds is close enough for jazz. So now that we are stopped almost compared to this craft, and that might count back up, that is no big deal. We are going to burn towards the target. Okay, about 20 meters per second is nice, good, slow, easy speed. You can go faster if you are more skilled, especially with small craft like this that can turn very quickly. But with anything else, don't take it slower. We'll use time warp because we're very comfortable, and we will just watch it slowly come at us. You'll see, and you can go into your map view, you will see the new Intercept is 0.1 kilometers, which is pretty good. But if you have very different relative velocity to start, your orbits are very different, there might be more pull to one direction or the other, so you might have to do this several times. But looks like we will be pretty close to first time. So we are now pointing retrograde again. We are going to kill off our velocity. We're not going to wait till we get to 0.1 meters because, you know, that would be dangerous. We want to approach a little bit closer. We'll burn off a little bit as we go. As you see, our marker has drifted a little bit. We're no longer heading directly at it like we were at start. Okay, we'll burn off almost all velocity, so we can have a little more control over... Okay. So now that we are very close to craft, we are 106 meters and falling. Oh, we are moving away from it. We are going to stop using our main engines, okay? We're not going to use these engines anymore. We're going to switch to RCS with the R button. And this craft is very stable. You'll see that ACES is not using any RCS, okay? Which is very nice. So we turn off our flight computer, so we have more fine control. Okay, and this is where things get interesting, okay? You have your WASD key, and they help you to move in normal directions that you know. You can spin up, you can spin down, but that's another thing we want to do. Okay, we need to find the ground. Alright, and what we're going to do real quick is we're going to turn the craft so that up is down, or up is up and down is down. Okay, so now when I hit the W key, craft turns down like it should, and up turns it up. Lots of people, they like to use the chase camera, not that camera, the chase camera. But this is great for cinematic effect, but it gives me motion sickness, and I don't think it's really necessary for dock. So, alright, now that we're done playing, we're going to talk now. We've done WASD key for move all directions. Oh god, I got to make that stop. Auto camera is what I like. Okay, now that we have done playing around, we are going to point ourselves at the rocket, and we're going to use a whole other set of keys. And this is the trick to docking. This is what I did not really understand at start. Not only do you have WASD key, you have IJKL key. And what they do is they let you move laterally, okay? So that one makes you move left, then we can move up, that way you can move right, okay? Also, you can move forward, backward with H key, and N key moves you backwards, which it is not doing. Okay, so this is a problem with using ship that I did not design. It apparently has no... Oh, there we go. Okay, let's see. It would not move backwards. So, alright. Never mind what I was just about to say. We have drifted significantly away from this craft while I was playing around. So, we're going to point ourselves right at the vehicle. We are going to hit the H button for forward RCS. We do not need to turn off ACES while we do this, because we can burn forward, straight backward, without having to turn off ACES, because it is that good. Now I'm going to show you something else. This prograde marker shows that we are not quite heading at the craft, but that is actually very easy to change with translation control. We can leave flight computer on, and we will burn in direction we want to go. So right now, if I hit left button, that prograde marker, it's moved left. Look at that, it's moved left. If I hit the up key, it's moved down, because, you know, it's airplane controls, it is reverse. And I move down, it moves up. But left and right are the same. So we just, what we do, we take our marker and we just move it right on top of that little dot, this little pink dot. And we can push our nose so we're facing it. And then we fine tune. And look at that, like magic. We are heading straight at craft. And if that starts to wander, as it might, we can just push it back. Alright, so let's move forward a little bit faster. Since we're so far away, let's go up to about 2 meters per second. You want to give yourself plenty of time to slow down. You certainly do not want to duck with craft at 2 meters per second. You want to dock closer to 0.3, maybe 0.4, depending on size of craft. I wish we were in daylight right now, so that you could see a little bit more of the station core. I apologize for that. If I'd planned just a little bit better, maybe that would have happened. But I think it is good to show things in worst case scenario. Okay, I'm adjusting my heading again, so we're heading straight for space station core. As you see, everything's right there. If I highlight it, you can see it, but can't see it. And this is one of the features that I'm very glad they put in 0.119, is that in 0.18 this would all be illuminated right now. You would still be able to see pretty well what's going on, because the sunlight travels through planets, and I found that very annoying, very non-immersive. So I'm glad they fix it, but now for tutorials it makes me look like a moron. Okay, so we're a little bit closer now. We're going to go ahead and kill off our momentum. Okay, and that's the great thing about using these translation controls. You point the prograde marker right on your nose, and there you go. We are not moving at all anymore. So, we have all kinds of docking ports that we can get to. So we're going to pick the most convenient one to get to, and that is that one. And here's how we target individual docking port, because right now that is docking or coordinating with center of craft, or probably command pod. But we want to dock with docking clamp, so we're going to right click. You can't really see because of lineup. Okay, we're going to right click that one that we want, clamp Potron docking port, and choose set as target. Okay, and our target changed to space station core docking part. Now, if we had multiple docking ports on our craft, we would choose the one we wanted to dock from, and choose control from here. But we just have the one, so we don't have to do that, but doing it does not harm anything. And you'll notice now that our target marker, this pink marker, has changed. It has moved over a little bit, because we went from targeting this thing to targeting that thing. So let's go ahead and we will point at it. And again, we are going to adjust our position so that down is down and up is up, and this makes it easier for us as people to eyeball what we are doing. Okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, I just like it to be perfect. Okay, and using the RCS to adjust the ACES has changed our relative velocity. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to try and line ourselves up a little bit better with that docking port. So what we're going to do, we'll turn off this docking computer, and we are going to... Now, it's important to notice that this is retrograde marker, we are moving away from it, okay? This is retrograde marker. So now the controls for everything are reversed. So left and right are now opposite, and up and down are the same. Okay? Takes a little bit of getting used to. I'm not even fully used to it. Okay, so we'll just kill our velocity a little bit. I'm deliberately taking my time and relaxing because I want you to feel comfortable. So what we're going to do now is we're going to lock in our heading, and we're going to use translation controls to move craft. Okay? And we're going to push ourselves so that we are lined up from this view with the docking port we want to go to. Okay? And I seem for some reason to not have my prograde marker anymore. So, okay. Okay, there it is. Okay, I find it is a lot better to be moving towards target. So we point ourselves at it. Alright, we're going to adjust so that up is up and down is down. Okay, I'm noticing the RCS ports on this thing aren't perfectly lined up. If you had perfect RCS block, this also would be a little bit easier. So we're going to move ourselves. So we're moving towards craft. And we're just trying to get ourselves nice and line up. Let's get a little bit closer. And we want to keep now our prograde marker directly on the center of that big dot. And let's look at this angle, see how close we are getting. Slow down a little bit as we close in. And the great thing about the docking clamp is you do not have to get perfect docking, because the magnetics will pull you in. Okay. So now we're not really moving, we're going to line up our nose again. Even though we are at slight angle, that is perfectly fine. As long as we are pointed straight at it. We get our races on. And right now we're just hanging so close. This is like perfect romance. This is young man new to the world of love. This is young woman manipulative and cruel. She wants him to kiss her, but she will not say this. He wants to kiss her and he says this too much. So now we push them together like seagull singing siren song, ever so slowly. All that is important is that you keep that yellow line lined up with that pink line, lined up with the yellow. So we just bring them together. As long as all three are lined up, they will kiss. We turn off docking computer or target computer and let everything else happen natural. Okay? And that, my friend, is how you make the docking. And now we have control over both craft. We have some Kerbals in there, I think. We have some Kerbals in there. We can see them all by pressing this button. So we've got Bill Bob, Kamard, that's his weird name, Chadroid, and Loing. And they have all made perfect docking kiss. So let's EVA one of these guys. Alright, and he will just get into the other craft. This is all option. This has nothing to do with docking. I think it's just once you complete the mission, I like to bring my Kerbals out to look at it. Okay, where is hatch? Always EVA very slow, because you will lose your Kerbals otherwise. Oh. Okay, and he's going to board. So now they are all having fun together, or having happy party. Okay, there are now apparently 2 Bobs. That's kind of weird. Oh no, it's just there are not enough Kerbals. 1, 2, 3, 4. Didn't I have more Kerbals than that before? Okay, I guess one of them is gone now. But whatever. So, we did everything we came here to do. I bid you farewell. I hope you learned something or two about docking. Look at that now. We're at 90 and we're at 90. That is lovely. Alright, I'm gonna get out of here. You guys have things to do. Go ahead and make the docking.